Let's welcome in the Congressman. Congressman Ronny Jackson, great to have you on. Good morning.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
I should do a little bit of a Texas two-step while we got you all geared up. Good to have you on this Thanksgiving Eve. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well.
Congressman, so you've done these reports before. You've done these exams before. When you looked at this report by Dr. O'Connor, were you surprised that anything was missing?
There was a lot missing, Rob. Honestly, there were 6 pages of stuff that most people don't care about. I mean, Dr. O'Connor spent 6 pages addressing like an occasional cough and some stiffness and things like that. When the elephant in the room was the president's cognitive ability. Over 50% of this country does not believe he's cognitively fit to be our commander-in-chief and our head of state, yet that wasn't addressed anywhere in there. We set the precedent when we did President Trump's physical. I did. The far left and the mainstream media were relentless in their pursuit of me to do something to address not only his physical capabilities, but his mental capabilities, which we did. We did a cognitive test. As far as I'm concerned, we set the precedent. And he should have had one done as well. I mean, if anyone needs a cognitive test, it's this president that we have right now. And I was really surprised to see there wasn't any mention of anything like that in there.
And I should say, you treated President Obama as well. You were the White House doctor for a few years under
Bush
President
as well.
Obama and President Bush. Would a 79-year-old patient, Joe Biden, 79 years old, would something like a cognitive exam, would that typically be included in a routine annual physical?
Yeah, there's a big push right now from the geriatric community and from the family practice and primary care community to include a cognitive test in anyone as part of their routine physical exam over the age of 65. Certainly, if you have an indication to do so. And I think that we have a huge indication with President Biden. We've seen for years now that he's had these gaffes, but something's changed over the last few years.
Yeah.
These aren't gaffes anymore. He's confused and he doesn't know where he's at or what he's doing. So I would say beyond just a normal indication, there are indications related specifically to his behavior that would have dictated something like that should have been done.
Okay, so back to the original point. Do you think that maybe Dr. O'Connor deliberately kept stuff like that out of his 6-page summary? Would that be common practice maybe for national security purposes?
No, I don't think they did it. They didn't do it because they know if they do it, you don't ask questions or you don't want the answers to. And essentially, I mean, that's his approach right now, is not to ask questions that he doesn't want the answers to. Right. They know that if they gave him a cognitive test that he would have failed miserably, and then they would have had to explain that away somehow. And Dr. O'Connor should have done what I had to do whenever I briefed President Trump's physical, is stand up in front of the press in the press briefing room and brief the physical. I was up there for an hour and 15 minutes answering every single question that the press had, picking his physical apart. And instead, what did we get? We just got a 6-page report. And that's the end of it. We're supposed to just move on and play like everything's fine now.
And don't forget about the timing. It was on a Friday. Typical news dump happens on Friday. People aren't paying as much attention on Fridays as they are, middle of the week. My grandfather, and I've mentioned this to you before, he had Alzheimer's, but, at first he was just forgetful. He was forgetting his keys and things like that. My mom is a nurse. She sat in one of these exams, and they asked him, who's president? What month is it? What day of the week? Stuff like that. I don't know if that would be part of one of these cognitive exams, but based on what we know after 10 months of Joe Biden in office, the persistent cough, the stumbles, the awkwardness, he's not taking questions, he's reading off a prompter, still confusing words. Would a routine cognitive exam be something that you would request if you were still the White House doctor treating this president?
Absolutely. You have to reassure, like I said before, Rob, over 50% of the U.S. population does not believe that this man is cognitive. You have to do something to address that. And a cognitive screening test like the MOCA, like we did for Trump, would have been something you could do with that. It deals with visual, spatial stuff, with naming, with memory, with different things like that. And it's a screening tool. It's a screening tool looking for cognitive decline, regardless of what the reason is, whether it's Alzheimer's or multi-infarct dementia or Parkinson's or whatever. And so something like that should have definitely been included in his physical exam, and it was purposely left out. And honestly, I don't trust the medical team that's taking care of him right now to tell us the truth anyways, but I think they purposely left this one out.
And when you were White House doctor treating former President Obama, you never treated Joe Biden for anything, he's just walking around the building, asked you to take a look at something. You never have treated the president?
That's right. He wasn't my patient. His physician, Dr. O'Connor, who was also his physician when he was vice president, worked for me, but I was not involved in his clinical care. But I saw him around every day, just like everyone else did. Yeah. And I can see that there's a huge change. Something has changed.
Right. And the report did say, this was a red flag to me, that he's got a stiffened walking pattern. Stiffened is the term they used. Did that stand out to you? What'd you make of that?
of course, because that's also a physical manifestation of some of the cognitive diseases that you can have as well. So they tried to explain that away with, just being orthopedic related, but we don't know for sure, because we didn't get any detailed stuff.
Right.
Maybe they should have included an MRI of his brain and things of that nature too, but none of that stuff was there. It was all superficial fluff. 6 pages of superficial fluff is all we got. And they were doing it just to check a box.
And they concluded that the stiffened foot was because he had a broken foot after a fall. And my question would be, well, why did he fall? We all remember him walking up the stairs to Air Force One, falling 3 times. Congressman, I really appreciate you coming on with us. I've had so many questions about this report since Friday, so thank you for answering them. Have a great Thanksgiving with your family. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Rob.